I hope you are well. My name is Eric Roberts, and I am a rising senior at Savannah State University. I'm here today to discuss Intro to Visual Arts and how several aspects of the class had a significant impact on me. So starting out, I don't really have much of a background in art, to be completely honest. And this is why I think it was intriguing for me to kind of study something that's a little out of my element, but at the same time, very interesting. Um, so there were several aspects of this class that stood out to me. Um, and these things started sticking out kind of right at the beginning with the introduction of fine arts and what fine arts is. And through this, I found out that fine arts is art that is created for aesthetic purposes only, so not for practicality or functionality, but strictly to be aesthetically pleasing. And I learned how work like this can be expressed, through paintings, sculptures, through dance, architecture, music, through poetry, theater, and especially and as it pertains to more contemporarily, you have film, digital media, photography, as well as printmaking. And I think these things kind of combined to give me my newly formulated understanding on what fine art is and how it continues to be impactful today. Um, Another aspect of this class that was very impactful was when we highlighted elements and principles of design. And through this, I learned that different elements, different principles of design can cause a painting or work to be perceived completely differently. One artist can use realistic principles as well as designs and create a realism piece. One artist can incorporate realistic principles and unorthodox elements, or vice versa, unorthodox elements and realistic principles to create a conceptual piece. And then another artist can incorporate both unorthodox elements and principles to create an abstract piece. And I just thought that was really intriguing, definitely. And another aspect of this class that had an impact on me was learning about the Surrealism era. I just thought it was really cool. It was really intriguing. And most of the design elements that were used during this time were unorthodox, and I think that's why it's so eye-catching at first. It can be seen as a portal to the inner workings of somebody's mind. And I think these types of works allow artists to encapsulate really, really deep meanings. One piece of work that stood out from this era was The Double Secret by Rene Magritte. And this piece features a person that has their face cut away from them, and you can see inside of their figure. And inside of their figure, observers are exposed to these gray spherical balls with a horizontal line through them. And after some research, I found out that these gray spherical balls represent, somebody's emotional being, the one that people are not exposed to on an everyday basis. So I think what Renee was saying with this piece is that though somebody may appear normal and fine on the outside, you never know what is going on within the inside. And that's why that piece stood out to me. Just the fact that through conceptual art, it allows people to express very deep messages in a really imaginative way. It's why it's so captivating to me, and why I've grown fond of it, definitely. Another aspect of the class that stood out to me was architecture. The African American architecture PowerPoint, as well as the structure and purpose assignments really stood out to me. And it really made me view architecture in a more artistic fashion. And within these assignments, we learned how people, how their artistic perceptions can be materialized in the form of structures. In particular, that stood out to me is Samantha Jehoshaphat. She's a contemporary architect. She continues to do work to this day, and she's based out of Brooklyn. She specializes in interior design, and she has this very unique way of blending practicality with fashion within her structures to create something really special, something that looks really cool. We also learned a lot about architecture in a historical sense, and how a lot of structures had their purposes based in religion. And the last aspect of this class that was impactful to me, perhaps the most impactful, was the fact that we emphasized Black artistry in this class. You know, and at least according to my own experiences, I cannot speak for others. In high school, in other art courses, I spent a lot of time learning about Italian art, Greek art, and Roman art. And that art is beautiful, definitely. And I think we do need to learn about it. However, I think we learned about that art disproportionately more than Black art. And, you know, we would spend some time on the Harlem Renaissance. However, we did not go into detail enough to really understand how the Harlem Renaissance impacted Black people, you know. And also, we really didn't learn about Black art outside of the Harlem Renaissance, as the Harlem Renaissance was not the only time period where Black artistry occurred. I got to learn about artists like Kara Walker, Basquiat, Jacob Lawrence, and others, you know, people that I look at their art and view their art even outside of the coursework, just for my own personal interests. And through researching Basquiat, I really became fond of his work, you know, his spastic style that can be seen in pieces like Untitled, that can be seen in most of his pieces. When I found out that it was what he perceived as being people's innermost feelings, I was really intrigued by that. You know, the fact that he wanted to go just beyond the surface and to capture what he believed were people's internal characteristics that are not always visual to the public. You know, and I thought that was very captivating. I'm intrigued by Kara Walker and the fact that she provided commentary on the exploitation of Black women in America. And she likes to highlight on controversial time periods, you know, like slavery, like the antebellum era, and how Black women, how Blacks in general, but especially how Black women were mistreated during these times, as that's not an aspect of history that is highlighted on as much, but Black women did endure a lot of suffering during those time periods, you know. And a lot of these artists, they came from humble beginnings, and that's why I think it's so important for them to tell their stories. You know, despite lacking in certain things, they were still able to become masters at their craft. You know, and I think just the amount of variability among their styles is absolutely brilliant. These artists are hyper creative, extremely talented. And I think me realizing this was perhaps the most important aspect of the class, and it is something that I will continue to pursue. And yeah, those are all of the aspects of this class that were really intriguing to me. I've enjoyed the course. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.